Hey guys, and welcome back. So instead of rebuilding everything from scratch, I think it's much easier to show the existing setup. And I want to point out an issue with this find shortest path node. And if we middle click, you'll see that we've lost all the attributes. This geometry has a ton. Well, it has name attribute, and we have these groups. Everything is gone. So it's brand new geometry, and we need a way to keep that the same. So I'm gonna go to my existing setup, and this is where we ended up doing the fusing and then the find shortest path. And what I want to do is I'm gonna show how I created the two groups here. So the first one is all, and this is to say all these points are a goal or can be used. And then the center, which is the start point, and that I chose 1 point in the center exactly. The next thing I want is the end. So what I've done, I used the sphere. I deleted everything except what's outside of that sphere, and I used a group expression and said group everything in this set, group everything in this geometry, and use a randomization of 0.03. So only 3% of these points will be selected. If I click here, you see how we have a lot of points, but with this expression, it's only grouping 3%. Okay, random at element less than 0.03. And because we did this separately, now the geometry is different. We need to pass this back onto the geometry. So I used a group copy from this into this, and that gave me my ends group. Okay, so the this part we're going to skip for now. We don't need to worry about that. I'm storing the rest attribute. I'm fusing the geometry again, and I'm storing. I'm making two attributes. One is called origpt, and it's equal to point number. And whenever I use the find shortest path, I always do this, because what's going to happen is the find shortest path will inherit that attribute. It can copy it onto the new mesh that it's going to generate, and I can use that attribute to find back data from the original mesh because of the correlation between the point number. And then the find shortest path, and then I run it, and these are the settings I used: the center and ends. And I ticked on keep original geometry, and this is very important, because what it means is, if I turn it off, what it means is it's not going to create new geometry, but it's gonna change the data on the incoming geometry. Okay, and if we click here, we will see a group called paths. Okay, and that group is an edge group. Is a primitive group that is that contains only the path that the find shortest node decided to create. Okay, and I'll come back to that later. And then I'm promoting the name attribute from primitive onto points, so that when I delete data, I can still have a copy. And then I'm isolating all the primitives here and only keeping the things that are in the group path, and that gives me the result I need. And if I middle click, I still have all my data, not like the way it was before. And then resampling everything to add more points, and this is applying the displacement that we baked in week 4. So because we want the edge displacement to match, we baked it in Arnold from the terrain, and I'm using the same UV coordinate creation. So this is what I used in the ground geometry. I'm reapplying that again here, and then I'm reading the displacement map and offsetting the points. Okay, same thing. And we can see the difference, this with this. So even if the sim here is not going to line up, at render it's going to line up perfectly. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the creation process. The next part is prepping the data so we can get the growing effect working nicely, and we're going to discuss that in the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in a bit.